Right, so my name is Jack. I'm an architectural designer from Ireland, currently living in New York. Would you like to introduce yourself, Arnaldo?
Sure.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for having me, Jack, in your podcast.
Pleasure.
So I'm from Venezuela.
Yeah.
Originally an engineer, but right now, after doing several different things throughout my career, right now I'm working in finance.
Okay.
Also living in New York City for the past 5 years now. Wow, time passes so fast
Right.
here. But yeah, I mean, and again, thanks for having me. And
Yeah. No, I think what I wanted to talk about today was, so I told you earlier, I did an internship here in 2024 in an architecture practice in FIDA, and at the time, one of my co-workers was Venezuelan, and at the time also there was the election happening in Venezuela, and she sort of told me about everything that was happening there at the time. And prior to that, I knew Venezuela was in Latin America, somewhere in the north around Colombia, but I didn't know exactly where it was, and I knew nothing about it, and became very interested in the topic through her. So I wanted to speak to somebody who's Venezuelan and I guess get your take on everything. Who was Hugo Chávez and Nicolás Maduro? How did they come to power in Venezuela?
yeah, there's a little bit of history there.
Okay, if you want to go back prior to that, if I'm starting too early, you can do that.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just to give like some context
Yeah.
around like who they were. So the one who started everything was Hugo Chávez.
Okay.
Nicolás Maduro came way after into the picture. But I'm promise I'm not going to like go too far back, but just to give you like a bit more context. So Venezuela was a country that in the 20th century it started out as a dictatorship, like a right-wing military dictatorship. But then in the 1940s, it began a transition towards democracy that ended up being fulfilled in the 1960s, right? And after in the 1960s onward, we were probably one of the first countries in Latin America to become a democratic country.
Right.
But that, we can delve a little bit more into that. But that system started having some issues, specifically around like the economy, very oil-based economy.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like booms and busts every time the oil price went up or down.
Right.
So there was a lot of like instability in society, and that turned into like in the beginning of the 1990s there was a lot of unrest in the country, and there was this military coup that was led by Hugo Chávez. That coup failed.
Okay.
He was imprisoned, but he became famous
Right.
at that point. And he became kind of that person who was like the anti-system person. So then after a lot of missteps, they let him free and forgave all of his crimes. So he was able to run for president by the 1998. There was a presidential election, and he was able to run for president, and he won.
Okay.
He won. So he became a president of Venezuela democratically, even though he tried to take power through violence.
Right.
So it was, it's one of those historical like discrepancies. I don't know how the right word would be right now, but yeah, it's very contradictory. That
Right.
The guy who attempted to overthrow an elected government,
Yeah.
then became elected himself.
I know. Was he running on socialist policies at the time?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think more than that, I think what the people wanted, it was going against the status quo.
Okay, it was the populist vote.
The populist vote,
Yeah.
very anti-system, very. The word that we have in Spanish for that is kind of paratroop.
Okay.
So he just came out of nowhere, kind of jumped into the political scene. First with a coup, and then like after that, running for president. And yeah, I mean he went against everyone. Like he was, maybe this will sound familiar to someone I'm not gonna mention right now, but he started like insulting people, and he was like very good, very charismatic, insulting all of his opponents.
Okay. Yeah.
And people loved that. Like it felt like I feel that there were a lot of people who voted for him as a way to get kind of a revenge against the political establishment at the time.
Right.
Not necessarily because they liked the guy.
Right. What year around was that?
1998.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's relatively recently as well.
Yeah, I mean, like 2026. So yeah, like 28 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
So Chávez won in 1998.
Yeah.
He got elected. There was a lot of like. Well, I mean, I can talk about that in a like, if you want more context around that. But around that time, he chose Nicolás Maduro. Like around like 2005, somewhere around that. Nicolás Maduro got elected to be a representative in Congress.
Right.
In Venezuela, right? As part of the Chávez's political party.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that he started like rolling up the ranks. After a few years, Chávez chose him as the chancellor, the minister for external relationships. That's how we call it. Like, so he was basically running all the diplomatic policies, and that lasted up until 2012.
Right.
If I remember well, yeah. So 2012, Chávez got diagnosed with cancer.
Right.
And he was undergoing treatment, and he basically at some point, like he probably knew that he was not gonna make it.
Yeah.
So he sat on a like very publicly, everyone like was watching this, and he sat on a table with his two like most important people in his government. So he had on one side Nicolás Maduro, on the other side another guy called Diosdado Cabello, which when he's still like in power right now, and he said like if there has to be an election, I want all of the country to choose Nicolás Maduro as my successor. So after that, he passed.
Right.
Chávez. There had to be an election, and Nicolás Maduro was the candidate, and he won the election.
Narrowly won, right?
But I mean, there are a lot of doubts that he actually won.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, the electoral college that we have in Venezuela, it became controlled by the Chávez and his government. It was a very partial institution.
Okay.
So anything that meant a transfer of power to a different politician that wasn't part of like the political system that Chávez built and his party and everything. I mean, at that stage already, like it wasn't going to happen. So they made everything they could to have Nicolás Maduro win that election.
Right. And what did the regime under Hugo Chávez and Maduro look like versus the democracy that was there before that? Yeah. What was life like under that?
So, I mean, the democratic system that was before Chávez, it was it was like a fair, real democracy.
Yeah.
The problem was that there was a big institutional crisis in the country. that began because of the lack of economic stability, I'd say,
Right.
and lack of economic growth. That represented that people were, well, at the time, because right now the situation is 100 times worse.
Yeah.
But at the time, people were like suffering
Okay.
from an economic standpoint.
Yeah.
And the political system wasn't able to give like real solutions
Right.
to the people, right? Because of the political, like the policies that they were implementing were very like socialist inspired.
Okay.
I'd say. It was a lot of like state-controlled, state-owned economic activity.
Yeah.
I mean, and at the time and still today, even though that's changing very quickly, all of the oil industry was controlled by the state.
They nationalized it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a country where 95% of all exports were oil,
Wow.
you can imagine like the
Yeah.
leverage that the state had over the economy.
I
So
know.
there weren't like any real counterweights to economically to the state. So then you have a state, even though it was a democratically run state, it had all the political power and all the economic power.
Right.
So it was very hard for like politicians that wielded so much power in the country to dismantle that.
Yeah.
And again, open up the economy for a more like market-driven economy. However, there was
You're talking about under Chávez now, right?
no.
Now,
I'm talking
really?
before Chávez. So
Oh,
everything
right.
this is
so
all
oil
before.
was nationalized before.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know
way
that.
before.
I
So
didn't
okay,
know.
so
Okay.
I can go back to that.
Yeah.
So oil was nationalized in the 1970s
Okay.
in Venezuela.
Right.
And after that, before that, like oil, everything that is underground in Venezuela was and still is owned by the Venezuelan state.
Right.
But you had many different companies exploiting the oil and producing oil.
Right.
However, in the for bad policies that were done even before that time, those companies stopped investing in the oil industry
Right.
because they were going to lose their concessions in the short term. So imagine you are an oil company that you invested, huge amounts of money to start producing oil
Right.
in Venezuela, and then you were told like, hey, your concession will end in 1980. I'm not sure if that's exactly the year, but more or less around that year.
Right.
That oil concession was going to expire.
Right.
So the natural reaction to that, I won't invest anymore. I'll keep the assets as they are.
Yeah.
And I'll just try to produce as much as I can with the assets that I already have in place, but I'm not going to bring in new fresh money to reinvest
Okay.
and continue growing that production, right?
Right.
So in the 1960s, because of that, oil production started to decline.
Right.
And the solution that the Venezuelan state found was, let's nationalize the oil. We'll take ownership of it and we'll be doing the reinvesting into
Right.
the oil industry. It kind of made sense on paper, but historically that was a big mistake.
Yeah.
After that, the oil industry kind of more or less worked for a while. But then you had like this huge state running basically all of the economy.
I know. They have control of all the resources.
Exactly.
basically. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was a problem, and you get to this point where it was very contradictory. Like you were asking politicians to open up the economy, privatize the oil industry, not
Yeah.
privatize, but allow like private companies to start producing oil again in Venezuela. And that meant losing power and letting some of the power go to someone else.
Yeah.
And that was a very hard like transition. And the person who started doing that early in the 1990s, he was a president, called Carlos Andrés Perez. He started doing this transition into like liberalizing the economy, and that was when the coup that Chávez did happen.
Okay.
Because a lot of the country was unhappy because of this transition that meant
Yeah.
politicians meant like giving up power and losing a lot of like the privileges.
Right. Was he running on the promise of privatizing all of these
He did.
the oil industry again? But he never did any of those things.
He tried to, but they
Okay.
didn't allow him to. In the
Okay.
end, he ended up like being pushed out of power.
Okay.
The
yeah.
president.
Right.
And he actually was put in jail for whatever. Very like in hindsight, it's very like stupid reasons.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, that kind of like the country continued like to move ahead, but there was already like the political system was already like bleeding. You know, very like hurt,
Right.
injured. And then after that, you know, Chávez came again as the savior that will, fix everything. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, he got elected, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So to get back to your initial question, like when was the oil industry nationalized? So it was back in 1970s.
Okay.
There was a process of opening up the oil industry in 1996.
Yeah.
So a lot of like private oil companies came back. So we're talking about Exxon, ConocoPhillips, Chevron, and several others. But then after Chávez got elected, a few years after that, he like expropriated all of those companies and took control of the assets and pushed them out of the country.
Venezuela has more oil reserves than any other country in the world. Is that
Yes,
correct?
the
Yeah.
largest oil reserves in the world, the
Yeah.
proven oil reserves. Yeah.
I know. It's kind of interesting. Oil was nationalized in Venezuela. You could say in a lot of, we'll say, for example, Dubai, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It's also run by the state.
Yeah.
But obviously, the people who run those countries are incredibly wealthy, but they also do spend a lot of that on the state as well. Whereas in Venezuela was the issue the opposite. They just kept it all for themselves, essentially.
In more recent times, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. So, just to give you an idea, these are estimates that some economists make, but from when Chávez was elected in 1998, all the way up to, I think it was like 2015, the country received around that varies, but somewhere between like 800 billion to $1 trillion.
Wow.
In income just from the oil industry, and around like half of that is unaccounted for.
My God.
Like nobody knows where that went.
How do you lose?
Those
that?
are
Yeah.
numbers that they are like insane.
I know.
Um,
Like a lot of people talk about how well countries like Dubai are run, but it's easy when you have all this money to throw around. So in a way, yeah, like you could look at like these leaders in Venezuela and be like, how could they not run a country? Well, when they have control of all of that, and
yeah. And I mean, to be fair, I think countries like Saudi Arabia, like the Emirates,
yeah,
and a lot of like the oil producing countries in the Middle East, a lot of them are not democracies.
No.
Or maybe all of them, I think. None of them are democracies. So, I mean, they invest in whatever they want and they control those resources however they want.
yeah,
And of course, you see like this immensely rich, like royal families.
yeah.
And I don't know, like the rest of the people, if they have a good standard of living or not.
I think they do. I think think in Dubai, it's extremely difficult to become I don't think you can become a citizen of Dubai.
I don't think
unless
you
you have, that's your ethnicity. But I don't think anyone actually has to work. And other citizens who,
Yeah.
But like you say, they're dictatorships. They have absolute control of all of it. But was the difference in Venezuela that it was a democracy on paper, but you have all of these individual corrupt entities within the government who are just taking that money for themselves, and there isn't one person who's like allocating it. Is that sort of the difference?
Yeah, so I'd say initially the institutional design,
Yeah.
So I mean in Venezuela, I'd say the example that we tried to mimic was Norway.
Okay.
Norway, they basically, I mean, I'm not like claiming I'm an expert in this, but this is kind of the image that we have, which is they have all of this oil revenue. It's not spent in regular like expenses,
Right.
but it's all invested in a fund.
Right.
And then from those, what that fund produces,
Yeah.
then that's what being used to to cover expenses in the country. You know?
Okay.
So you have this kind of virtual loop of get the oil revenues, put them in the fund, and then that fund continues to grow. Then that fund will produce even more dividends, and then you will get those dividends and use it to, instead of using the actual revenues to cover expenses, you use the dividends from the fund. We tried to do this, but that meant putting kind of a handcuffs on politicians.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to run a political campaign and they wanted their party to win, it would be a lot easier to just get access to the oil revenues directly and use those to either fund expenses or just use it to get elected,
Right.
So there wasn't that institutional strength to make that happen. And then on the other hand, to be fair, Norway is a country of I think it's 5 million people.
Yeah.
So it's a very small country.
Yeah.
Compared to Venezuela, which is a 30 million, people country. So you couldn't do exactly what Norway was doing because of you have different dimensions and you have different needs too.
Right.
Norway was already a developed country when they discovered that they had oil.
Yeah.
Venezuela, we weren't. We needed to invest a lot of infrastructure, a lot of education, and a lot of those things that we need to improve quality of life.
Yeah.
And all of that happened before Chávez.
Can you tell me what life was like under Maduro and Chávez? One of the things my friend told me was, so essentially there was state provided oil, so you could queue for hours and get oil that was almost free, or you could not queue and pay extortionate prices that nobody could afford. She said there was power outages. They'd only put on the power for so long. They only put on the water for so long. It sounds insane to me that a country has all this wealth and it's dealing with these issues.
It's so contradictory.
Yeah.
So when Chávez took power, Venezuela was probably the country in Latin America that had the best infrastructure in general.
Oh, really?
So we were the first country in the region to electrify every single home.
Okay.
So we had 100% electrification in the country. We were probably maybe still many countries in Latin America haven't achieved that even today. The electricity we produced is sustainable because we don't use oil to produce our own electricity.
Okay.
We have this. We use hydropower.
Right.
So we have this huge dam. It was a huge project that during that democratic period was built. At the time, I think it was the second or third largest hydroelectric power dam in the world, and that only that gave power and produced enough power for us not to need oil to have electricity.
Okay. And why was there then the issue with the outages?
I'll get there.
Yeah.
So at the time, and this is again all before Chávez.
Yeah.
There weren't any major problems with either electricity or water.
Okay.
Or any of that. The country actually was for compared to regional standards, was probably the best, or one of the best in terms of infrastructure. But then when Chávez came to power, the mismanagement began. Like there was mismanagement before, but it get potentiated to the south end. I don't know. So there was a lot of corruption began everywhere in the state, and that meant they nationalized every single utility company.
Okay.
So all the companies that were in charge of the water supply to homes and electricity distribution, all of them got nationalized by the state. And then after getting nationalized, people that were managing the budget to maintain and even enhance those systems didn't do it.
Right.
And they used that budget to basically steal it. Or they were, rerouted to be used in political campaigns or whatever.
Okay.
So you have a system that used to work very well.
Right.
And then that system you need to maintain those systems. You cannot let them, run without any maintenance.
Okay.
And that maintenance never came. And those systems started to get degraded and degraded and degraded.
Right.
Up down to a point where we are today.
Yeah.
Where you have power outages everywhere in the country, every single day.
Yeah.
For 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
You have places where, there's a whole city in Venezuela called Cumaná right now that they haven't received a drop of water, the whole city.
Wow.
In 2 or 3 months.
My God, wow. And how are they getting water?
That's the thing, right? So, people do whatever they can to survive, and water and electricity aren't things that you can just live without. So people try to solve those issues by either buying generators that they install in their homes.
Yeah.
Those who have the money to do it, many people in Venezuela don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
And then also you buy water trucks that come to your home. You install the water tanks and fill them up and use that as you go. But yeah, I can tell you personally.
Yeah.
At my home in Caracas, we probably spent 8-9 months without getting any water from the water system.
In the capital, yeah, I know.
Venezuela, it wasn't like that, but right now it's probably one of the worst countries in the world in terms of utilities.
I know.
It's terrible, and people are suffering so much because of that right now.
I know. What was it like for you? When did you actually leave Venezuela?
2018.
Okay.
2018.
How old were you at the time?
I was 33, I think,
okay.
32. Yeah.
So you went to high school, university, and worked there.
Yeah.
And what incentivized you to leave? What was, obviously, you're describing a lot of things that have been sent, but you personally, I'm talking about from personal experience.
Personally, I tried to stay as long as I could in Venezuela. So I have my group of friends, people more or less my age. I basically saw all of them leave before I did.
Right.
With a few exceptions. So that process is, I didn't leave that process only myself. Everyone in Venezuela has or had someone who had left, either a family member, friends, so that was a very tough time. It still is.
Yeah.
A lot of families broken.
My friend left and went to Spain. Went to university in Madrid. Yeah.
But I personally, I wanted to stay in the country as long as I could, because I felt that I had kind of partial responsibility of trying to rebuild the country whenever that So yeah, I started working. I had the opportunity to work in like large corporations that were still operating in the country. So companies like Procter and Gamble, Samsung,
Okay.
that were still operating at the time when I graduated from college.
Yeah.
Around in 2009.
Okay.
So I worked for a few years. Those companies started to leave the country
Yeah.
when situations started to get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I because of that circumstance, I tried to build my own business. So I went to entrepreneurship. I did more or less okay for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you doing? Sorry, this is a matter of interest.
Yeah, of course. So I started doing Bitcoin,
Okay.
Bitcoin mining,
Right.
crypto mining in general, like
Right.
not only Bitcoin but all other cryptos as well. And the thing is, in Venezuela, the electricity was still very cheap
Right.
at the time, and was working in the capital. It was more or less reliable, more or less. So it was a good business.
Okay.
Yeah, but at some point it became like impossible. Not only because of the economy, but also because of the social criminality was insane. Like utilities, criminality. You weren't able to find the products that you needed, like in the supermarket. So if you needed to buy groceries, you needed to go to 4 or 5 different supermarkets to find the
Right.
different things that you needed. If you were lucky enough.
Because they weren't producing the food in Venezuela, or because they weren't importing enough?
Because the real problem was because of they implemented price controls.
Right. Okay, so there wasn't a free market.
No.
Okay, yeah.
So when you do that, and you don't allow the market to fix prices,
Yeah.
products start disappearing.
Okay. So they had standardized prices for different products.
Yeah,
Right.
and then of course, as it happens everywhere that you implement price controls, a black market appeared.
Okay.
So you had to pay for things 4, 5, 6 times the price that were like the regular or legal prices in the black market, if you found that.
Right.
I mean, it's I mean, the situation became honestly unbearable, and I said, look, I probably need to go. I cannot continue, living my life like this if I don't have to. So I applied for business school, something that I wanted to do anyway at some point.
Yeah.
I applied to business school and came to the U.S.
In Cornell, right?
At Cornell. Yes.
Okay.
I had that great opportunity to go to Cornell.
Wow. So that was like 2018.
That was 2018. So
Okay.
I began July 2018.
Yeah.
I left Venezuela and began my MBA.
Okay. And you've been here?
Since then.
Okay.
So I was at Cornell until 2021, and then moved to the city.
Okay.
In 2021.
Nice. Right. So the picture you painted for me is that Venezuela was this country with all this great infrastructure.
Yep.
It's a corrupt government, didn't maintain it, became dilapidated over time, power outages, water shortages,
Yes.
no free market. They have complete control over the economy's main source of income.
Yep.
And yeah, the reason I'm kind of highlighting all of that again is that what I want to talk about next is the presidential elections in 2013, 2018, and 2024, and the sort of violence that ensued after that.
Yeah.
Could you tell me a bit about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So that 2013 election was right after Chávez died.
Okay.
So he had won an election in 2012.
Right.
Again, very under a lot of not very transparent circumstances.
Right.
He got elected.
There wasn't any international oversight.
There
Yeah,
was, but
yeah.
they picked and choose whoever they wanted to do the oversight, right?
Right,
So it's not
okay.
like that was a reliable way of overseeing the elections. So Chávez got elected again, like for the third time, in 2012. He died.
Yeah.
And then Maduro ran for president.
Yeah.
He won again by a very narrow margin.
Yeah.
Under very non-transparent circumstances.
Yeah.
And then the opposition candidate at the time, he basically yielded and accepted the results. Wasn't very unfortunate because, I mean, everyone was pretty sure he had won the election against Maduro, but he didn't want to do the fighting that was needed.
Yeah.
So again, Maduro took power, and he stayed in power up until 2018. In 2018, the opposition said, like, we're not even gonna run for the elections because the system it's broken. It's not a real electoral system.
They boycotted the elections.
Yeah, so they tried to.
Yeah.
Since the Chávez and then Maduro, those political, like, they took control of all of the institutions in the country.
Yeah.
Both, like, everything, like the judiciary, the Congress, everything. I mean, they had control of everything. So there wasn't anyone to oppose them, really.
Right.
And also the military, which is a very important part of all of this. There wasn't anyone to oppose Maduro, so he ran for election basically on his own. He took like a puppet candidate, opposition candidate, to run to make it appear like a fair election.
Right.
Nobody bought it.
Okay, so even his opposition was somebody he put in there.
Yeah,
okay,
for
right.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and after that, like, everywhere in the world, no one recognized.
Yeah.
I mean, at least democratic countries, none of them recognized that election.
Okay.
So he was there, an illegitimate president, still in control of the country. And that situation
escalated, or?
Yeah, I mean, no, it stayed like that up until 2024.
Okay.
In 2024, the opposition, kind of the main opposition leaders that existed in the country, all of them were either bought out, and this is my opinion, but I mean, it's kind of a very vox populi thing.
Yeah.
Either bought out or run out of the country, like they pursued and they had to leave the country.
Right.
And only one opposition leader stayed.
Yeah.
And was able to, keep the fight.
Yeah.
And this person was Maria Corina Machado.
Yes. Yeah.
And she took a very different strategy that the opposition had never taken before, which was do a primary election within the opposition to kind of legitimize a single leadership that would then go in an election against Maduro in 2024.
Okay, so they could hold their own vote for the opposition, basically. So it wouldn't be an opposition that was chosen by Maduro. Okay,
exactly.
Right.
So, I mean, this is a very commendable, I would say even heroic thing that happened, because you have to see, like, this country, the situation is, it's not like people were freely, like, using or applying their freely their political rights.
Yeah.
This is a country where if you spoke out, you were put in jail.
Yeah.
Or you were, like, pursued somehow.
I know.
Either economically or physically put in jail, or I mean, everyone who spoke out was at the risk of getting in the eyesight of the political police in Venezuela, right? So even under those circumstances, a big portion of the Venezuelan society was able to organize a primary election. And they did. A lot of the opposition participated, but Maria Corina Machado was elected by like 90 plus something % of the vote.
Okay.
So she was very like uncontested leader of the opposition at the time.
And Maduro found a way to stop her from running, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So after that happened, and this was done without any participation from the state. This was very civil society organized this election.
Yeah.
So you had some like ways to believe that this was a real election, where Maria Corina won with that 90% primary vote.
Okay.
So then she was the candidate to run against Maduro for the 2024 election.
Yeah.
The 2024 election, a lot of people thought they weren't going to happen because everyone knew that if those elections were fair, Maduro would lose.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, the country was in shambles.
I know.
Everyone was suffering.
Yeah.
Like we had like the worst migration crisis all over the world, with the exception of Syria.
Wow. Okay.
So it was a terrible situation.
Yeah.
It still is. So everyone knew that Maduro was going to lose, and everyone thought that the election wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of pressure from the U.S. that you need to make this election.
Okay.
You need to do this election.
Right.
This was before Trump. This was under Biden.
Okay.
But there was pressure for the elections to happen, but there wasn't enough pressure for the elections to be actual elections, right? So So it was very, it's kind of helping legitimize Maduro in a way, because you pressure to have elections, but you don't really have transparent elections.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird. But anyway, Maria Corina, she was running. But then they made up this like corruption charges against her. So the tribunal said that she wasn't able to run because of this.
Right. Well, what? How did they justify that?
They made up some corruption charges.
Okay.
It's
right.
It was all lies.
I know. Yeah.
All made up.
Crazy. Do you think at that point? Obviously Maduro was too afraid to let her run against him, but do you think he's afraid of like taking out the opposition, who's clearly the more popular candidate? Is he afraid of his own people at all at that point?
At that point, no.
No.
He was afraid of Maria Corina because I mean, I just saw it during the campaign. Like they didn't allow her to take any flights to move around the country.
Right.
They forbade it.
Okay.
So she had to go by car everywhere. Which of course, I mean, Venezuela is not a small country. It's a little bit bigger than Texas, just to give you an idea.
Okay.
So I mean, to go all around the country by car, it takes a long time.
I know, that's crazy.
But she did it anyway.
Yeah.
And everywhere she went, it was insane. Like all the people went out to the streets, went like crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can see if you want to like look at for some videos on the internet, like people like were desperate, like crying to her, like
really?
we need to change this. Please help us change this. She became this like almost like motherly figure in the country, and there was like a lot of faith and a lot of energy because she was seen as like the solution, right? We need to get out of this situation. But Maduro and the government saw this, and they did everything they could to stop it.
I know, that's crazy.
All the way up to like forbidding her to run.
Yeah, I know. How did they enforce like preventing her from flying? Like if she just shows up to the airport and they don't let her.
Like the airport authorities didn't allow the flight to take off.
Crazy, so they did everything in their power.
Everything in their power.
And then in the end, they just made up corruption charges. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I know.
But in the end, she didn't run. But what they did, the opposition was being very smart, much smarter than they were before.
Right.
Because they expected something like this to play out. They inscribed other candidates that weren't really candidates,
Right.
because the candidate was Maria Corina, but just to have like some names officially running in the election. So then Maria Corina went and told one of them, "Hey, you know, I cannot run.
Yeah. Run on my behalf.
Run on my behalf, and
Yeah.
I'll go every single step of the way with you." And what she did, which the government thought that it wouldn't happen, and it's very hard to do in actual like in normal democracies, which is transfer popularity
Yeah.
from one person to the other. But she did. She did her whole political campaign as if she were the candidate, but running for, like helping the other guy, which is called Edmundo Gonzalez,
Yeah.
to run as the candidate for president.
Right.
But the brilliant part of all of this, it wasn't that. I mean, that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Like it was very like
Strategic.
yeah, strategic,
Yeah.
smart, like you know, like incredibly, insanely smart. But the impressive thing of all of this was on the actual day of the election, the system that she and her team put in place to prove that the elections were a fraud.
Yeah.
When the electoral college said that Maduro had won,
Yeah.
she had all the proof.
Yeah.
And that's how we know for certain that there's no doubt about it, that Maduro lost 70-30
Right.
in that election.
She leaked it somehow, didn't she? Or
No. I mean, it's
Or-
so there are. So when the vote in Venezuela, it's a automated system. But when you are going to transfer all of the data from the different voting machines across around the country to a single database in the electoral college, they need to print a kind of a tally that is an official document.
Right.
And you print like 3 copies of those.
Right.
And this was never done before. She was able to collect, I think it was like 90% of those tallies from across the country against the military that were doing. I mean, that the military runs logistics for the election, which is absurd.
Crazy, yeah.
Nowhere in the world, and no democratic country has the military running their elections.
Yeah.
But in Venezuela, it's like that because, again, the government has control of the military. And so you had the military involved in preventing that from happening. You had that official political party organized using state resources to prevent that from happening. You have all of these systems to make sure that the election remains not transparent.
I know.
But she built this system using all of those, going around all of that, to be able to collect all of those tallies and prove, like, there's no doubt that she, not her, Edmundo Gonzalez won the election by 70% of the vote, and Maduro lost it by 30%.
I know. No, I remember at the time my friend telling me that. How did they publish it and get it out to the masses?
They actually very, very cleanly, they built a website.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Everyone could access it.
Yeah.
I think you still can.
Yeah.
A website where you have the official tally is scanned on every single machine, voting machine across the country, and you have the tally there, and you cannot. It's backed up by like a QR code and like a hash code behind it, so you cannot really falsify it.
Okay.
So I mean, you can verify that those are like the real original ones.
Okay.
Wow. So there's no way around it. Even if the government today tried to falsify, which they tried, try to like falsify those tallies and present like the fake version of those, you will be able to prove that those are fake because of this cryptography, that hash code that you had embedded in each of one of those tallies. So there's no way to falsify it, and all of those they were able to take those out of the country somehow. I don't know how, and they are right now in Panama, in the bank, Panama's central bank,
Okay.
and being safeguarded there. So the government has no access to them.
Right. Wow. And there was protests that followed each of these elections, right?
Yes.
And the government sort of cracked down,
The crackdown
killed
was
a bunch of people, right?
the crackdown was the worst that had happened in all of history in terms of like starting from Chávez
Yeah.
to Maduro. There has always been repression. There has always been crackdowns. Never as bad as this one.
Yeah. It's the 2024 one.
The 2024.
Yeah.
It's
I know.
people were killed. You were walking down the street and they caught you, and just because
Yeah.
they found you there, they took you to put you in jail.
Yeah.
I was honestly the worst time.
I know.
The worst time.
It's scary. Yeah, I wanted to watch. My friend told me about that movie Simone that sort of portrays the protests in Venezuela. I wanted to watch it in preparation for this. I never got around to it, but
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was going to
still.
ask you if it was an accurate portrayal, but
I haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah.
But
That was shot here in the US, right? Because they couldn't obviously shoot something that's portraying the protests in Venezuela.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, like, if you do it, do that like hidden with your cell phone.
Yeah.
But even if the police caught you with your like cell phone filming something, they
Yeah.
will put you in jail.
Yeah.
I mean, it got so bad that at some point, you were like in your car, you were stopped at the police randomly, and they ask you for your phone
Wow.
without any like
Warrant.
judicial
or-
order, like
yeah,
warrant, anything,
yeah.
nothing. They don't care. And they
Right.
got into your
Yeah.
Instagram or
Yeah.
your Twitter or your X, just to see if you were like writing something, even your
Yeah.
WhatsApp, like.
If you're a sympathizer of some kind.
Yeah,
with
if
the
you were against the
opposition.
government,
Yeah.
and if you had that, they
Yeah.
would put you in jail.
Okay. So censorship was real as well. Yeah. Wow.
Terrible, honestly, terrible.
No. No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I guess, what are your thoughts now on the United States capturing Maduro? What's happening in the country currently? Are they transitioning towards a democracy of some kind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, the U.S. capturing Maduro,
Yeah.
that's, I think that was a very like legitimate operation
Yeah.
they did.
It seems like there is no other way. Like, the people have rebelled multiple times. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, not even because of that. It's so the accusations that the U.S. was making or is still making against Maduro and
Yeah.
against the regime, the Venezuelan regime,
Yeah.
of them being a drug cartel are true. Like, there's
Okay.
no.
So Venezuela was also a narco state?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So to go a little bit back, so when Chávez did what he did with the oil industry, so pushing all of the private companies
Yeah.
out of Venezuela, he also fired like all of the people that worked in the national oil industry because they were on a strike.
Yeah.
So they all got fired. Like
Yeah.
in one single day, the whole company, like the national oil company called PDVSA, all of them got fired.
Right.
With a very few exceptions.
Okay.
So, as you can imagine, if you have a company run by, by people who, they have a lot of years of experience running that business, and then you fire everyone in one single company, like the company is not going to be working. Like, It's
Yeah.
not going to work. I mean, that's logic.
Yeah.
So what happened after that? It's the oil industry in Venezuela starting in a huge decline, very fast decline.
Right.
So at the time when Chávez took power, Venezuela was producing around 3.5 million barrels of oil a day,
Okay.
if I remember well.
Wow.
Which, I mean, it seems impressive by today's standards, but at the time it was pretty bad. We should have been producing like 6 million barrels
Okay.
a day. So I mean, before Chávez, it's not that things were great either. But anyway, he did this. oil production started to decline insanely fast, all the way down to today. Well, yeah, before the U.S. took Maduro away, the country was producing around like 800,000 barrels a day.
Okay.
So we went from like 3.2 million, to be more accurate, all the way down to like 800,000
Right. Okay.
barrels per day. So that created a big gap in terms of revenue and in terms of resources for the government to put their hands on.
Right.
So they turned to drug trafficking.
Okay.
I mean, and of course, I'm like super like summarizing everything. There's a lot more behind it, but
Of course. Yeah.
but basically that's kind of the way I see it. That what happened.
And why were they producing less oil? Are the oil reserves running out, or is this the infrastructures?
No, the company. I mean, oil industry. It's not like you drill a single hole and then oil starts popping up. It's a very like technical,
Okay. Right.
very hard thing to run.
Right.
And not only that, in Venezuela, it's particularly hard because of even though we have the largest oil reserves in the world,
Yeah.
the oil, it's kind of a low quality oil,
Right.
which is very thick,
Okay.
doesn't flow.
Right.
So it's more like a tar
Right.
kind of oil. So you need like a lot of like technical expertise to be able to produce that kind of
Okay.
oil. But you know, the people who knew how to do that, they were fired, and everyone left, and worked somewhere in some other oil companies around the world.
Right.
And Venezuela was left with, no one to run that industry. So yeah, oil production went down, super quickly. Yeah, so that's kind of why.
Yeah. But okay. So they turned to drug trafficking.
Yes.
Right. But what's happening that you feel like? So you said you feel like capturing Maduro was legitimate. There was legitimate reasons to do
Yeah.
it. It was affecting the U.S. in some way. But what's happening in Venezuela now? Like,
Yeah.
are they transitioning towards a democracy of some kind, or
I'd say right now there is kind of so the same people are in place with the exception of Maduro,
okay?
basically.
Yeah.
But right now they have the real threat of the U.S. So they are doing the U.S. speeding.
Right.
So there's just like they're being tutelaged.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there isn't like a real transition to democracy because there isn't right for now.
Yeah.
There isn't like a real path towards a real election.
Yeah.
To renew all of the institutions, right?
I know. I guess you'd need like a new constitution and everything, right?
I mean, not even that. We have the constitution. Like,
Yeah.
it's not perfect, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the time when it was written, there was a semblance still of democracy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that constitution gives the right framework
Okay.
to be able to run the country democratically. So I don't think that's the big issue. The big issue is that this drug cartel and these corruption networks and this control state, it's so embedded across all of the institutions and across all of society that even if you elect a new president, that person won't be able to exercise real power.
Okay.
Because she wouldn't have, assuming this will be Maria Corina, she wouldn't have real control
Right.
over those institutions.
Okay.
Because those institutions, for a very long time now, don't correspond to the will of the people.
Right.
They correspond to the will of Maduro.
Okay.
And that includes the military, that includes police, that includes the intelligence apparatus, that includes the oil industry, the national oil industry, that includes every single layer, institutional layer in the country.
Right.
So what the U.S. is doing right now, and I mean, it's painful because all of us would like to see a democratically elected government in power. But at the same time, it would be an ineffective elected government because you need to dismantle all of this first.
And are they dismantling it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that we see and a lot of things that we don't see. So for the things that we see, they are doing that, even albeit.
Are they being transparent about it and sort of openly saying, or is it all kind of?
No, because you have this situation where you're trying to dismantle. So the system itself is trying to you're using the system to dismantle itself.
Okay, I know what you mean. Yeah,
so
eating itself from the inside out. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's I think there's a lot of like strategy and a lot of a balancing act in that regard.
Okay.
And a lot of that, I guess a lot of that involves not being transparent about things. Because if you are very transparent and you are very clear about what you're trying to do, you would have that system rebel against the current government.
I get what you mean, yeah.
So yeah, it's...
You have to give all the entities a certain amount of confidence.
And you cannot publicly say, right now we're going to dismantle the intelligence apparatus because, you just need to go ahead and do it and make this not even dismantle it itself and fire everyone because that wouldn't work. You would need to change some key figures to take control of the whole apparatus, for example.
Right.
And so you need to be very strategic about it. The same with the military. So you would need to change certain positions in the military that would allow you to control most of the military, and not try to blank slate everything and try to make everything from new. That wouldn't work because you would have a very strong reaction against that.
Are you optimistic?
I am
about the way things are. Yeah,
I am. I think things are going a lot more slowly than what every single Venezuelan would like for them to go. I think for that lack of transparency, which I personally think it's necessary. A lot of people are losing faith.
Right.
Because they don't see the real advances, because Marco Rubio is not going to stand in front of everyone and say, we're doing this, we're doing that, and the reason why we're doing this is because of, that doesn't make sense because you need to keep everything undercover,
I know.
So because of that, there's no transparency, so people think things are not changing.
Right.
But the reality is that things are changing, substantially, compared to a few months ago. You have about 900 political prisoners liberated, free. That wouldn't be unthinkable if Maduro were still in power. You have private oil companies with the interest to go back into Venezuela and invest. That would be unthinkable under Maduro. You have, there are so many changes. Are they enough? Not at all. There still needs a lot to be done. But I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic. I think the optimism doesn't have to be a passive optimism. You have to pressure, and I think people in Venezuela are aware of that. You need to keep the pressure for things to continue happening.
Okay.
And that pressure has to be both against the Delcy's government but also against the U.S. government.
Okay.
To make sure that they don't lose the pace, or that they don't lose focus and think about something else, which they are thinking with all the Iran war and everything.
Do you think that the U.S. are exploiting Venezuela in any way?
That's a tough question. Yes and no.
I know, there's been a controversy with, let's say, for example, with the Iraq war. A lot of people believe America are going around making all these regime changes so that they can install a government who will basically trade with them and sell them their oil.
Do
you think that's what's happening here, or?
Yeah.
Did it
in a way.
incentivize it to an extent? Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Is it bad for Venezuela?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I know.
Especially if you're comparing it to what, if the alternative is to have kept Maduro in power and
Yeah.
keep the country as it was,
I know.
of course, we would like, what's happening right now is much better.
Okay. Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
And not only that, but like the Venezuelan oil industry was built by American companies.
Okay. Right.
So it's like going back to the early 20th century when oil was discovered first in Venezuela, who was able to go and produce oil. It was Standard Oil, which is today Exxon. It was, Shell. It was, the huge oil companies of the past that are still,
Right.
the same ones today, maybe with a different name or something. So it's going back to that. And the best period of Venezuela's economic growth was at that time.
Okay. Okay.
So-
Under an American influence, you say, or American private companies investing in Venezuela.
Where the
Yeah.
oil industry wasn't a national oil industry, it
Yeah.
was a oil industry that was run by oil companies.
Yeah.
And you would, the Venezuelan state would just charge taxes on that and remain a state that is not dedicated to the oil business. It's a
Right.
state dedicated to, building infrastructure and giving education to the people and running the healthcare system, the public healthcare system. It's and those are like more functions that are more aligned with what an actual state should be doing instead of like running a business.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you foresee like a future where things improve enough where it's a country that Venezuelans would want to return to and live in?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's kind of the bet that the U.S. is making too.
Yeah. No, because I know that it is a beautiful country. It is all sorts of landscapes. Like
Yeah.
you've got mountains, deserts, beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I don't know if it as like the tourism industry, it should. Like a lot of my brother last year, he did 6 months of traveling around Latin America, and he went to Colombia, but he never went to Venezuela. And I was telling him, I'm guessing that
It wasn't safe.
it wasn't safe, and that's the reasons for it. What's the country that was recently? It was the murder capital of the world, and now it's
El Salvador.
El Salvador. Yes, yeah. He went there, and for the first time, it's got its own tourism industry. And it's supposed to be a super popular surfing spot now.
Yeah.
Which kind of an amazing thing. And everyone they talked to there was like, it's a safe country now. You can walk around and live normally. Yeah, it'd be cool if that was something that happens for Venezuela. Yeah.
I hope so too. And I think, I really hope it'll happen.
Yeah.
And I have, the situation right now is not perfect, but I think we're trending towards that
Yeah.
still. I like to say that there's a lot of misconception around the world, here in the U.S., in many parts of Europe,
Yeah.
and even in Latin America too, that a socialist regime,
Yeah.
it's kind of the solution
Yeah.
to many of today's problems. I'd say look at Venezuela's example. Venezuela try to make the experiment of using a socialist, president,
Yeah.
whatever, to fix a lot of the problems that we were having as a democratic country. And and it was a catastrophic failure
I know.
and a very painful experience for all Venezuelans. In one way or another, all Venezuelans, we are all scarred because of this. And I think people need to be very careful with what they are asking. And I'm not saying that the solution is going, be a right-wing extremist, and that's not what I'm saying. But to be very careful about how, implementing socialist policies. They seem logical at first, and they seem like they're justified.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, it's a slippery slope, I'd say.
I think last time we spoke, you mentioned the effect that George Orwell's work has had on your life.
Yeah.
And one of the sort of overarching themes in Orwell's work is that dictatorships don't just work from the top down, they also work from the bottom up. So in a true dictatorship, everyone has to participate in it and feed into the lie that's being perpetrated by the dictator. And I'm not trying to say either that Venezuelans or anyone else living under a socialist regime is responsible for their fate, but it's just a theme within Orwell's work, and I wonder if it's something that resonates with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
kind of sounds like what you just said there. You're kind of issuing a stark warning to be careful, and you're saying that to citizens of Western countries, be careful about implementing these things, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, again, Chávez, he was a democratically elected president.
Yeah.
And he ran with the message of dismantling the status quo.
Yeah.
So I mean, there were the people were involved, and you can always say, oh yeah, no, people were cheated.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, I think people allow themselves to be cheated.
Yeah.
For some reason, and allow themselves to believe a lie. So there is definitely a big component of complacency or allowing things to happen, or even wanting them to happen.
Yeah, something that's so. Have you read Yumi Park's book, The North Korean?
I haven't.
Yeah,
I haven't yet.
It's really good. It's definitely something. But one of the things that she talks about is how it's so easy. It's extremely difficult to get human rights. You have to lobby for a long time to get policies put in place.
Yeah.
In extreme cases, if you're living under a dictatorship and you need to get all your rights, you need a civil war of some kind. But it's really easy to give them up. You can give them up so easily, if you allow the government to take them from you.
Agreed.
And I think and I'm included in this too, it happens in little ways that you don't see it first until it's too late. And I know, especially when I was younger, I definitely took for granted all the rights I have because I grew up in Ireland, a Western democracy. And I sort of looked at the rhetoric here in the US where, people are so anti-big government coming in and, we'll say changing any policy. And at the time I was frowning at that and thinking, this is sort of ridiculous, but I do get it now, and when I hear people's stories, you have to be extremely careful about giving up your rights,
Absolutely.
Because they're so hard to get.
Yeah. And in Venezuela, I'm saying this is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
In Venezuela, how it started, it's property rights started to be vulnerated. So basically, Chávez started taking land from private owners,
Yeah.
Real estate, businesses,
Yeah.
and that's how it began. But then after that was freedom of speech. Then it was freedom of political association. In a way, they kind of disguised it a little bit to make it still appear as a democracy
Yeah.
From the outside.
Yeah.
But if you became too uncomfortable for the president, for the political people in power,
Yeah.
they would take you out somehow, either put you in jail, make up some charges and put you in jail, or push you out of the country, or do whatever. And right now, I mean, we got to a point where we don't even have the rights to get water, food, electricity.
I know.
So it started from what people thought it would be kind of a justice, or some people that were thinking about privatizing nationalizing private businesses or private property would be a way of social justice.
Yeah.
But that's how it began. And then it turned into what we have today.
I know. It's extremely difficult, and I look at statistics, like I'm living here. I don't know if you saw the other day, Jeff Bezos was talking about how, the bottom 50% of earners in the US pay 3% of all the taxes. So 97% of them are paid by the top 50% of earners, which is an insane statistic. And when you hear stuff like that, I understand people who go around chanting slogans like tax the rich, but those are also the slogans that are perpetrated by every socialist regime that's ever been implemented, whether it's in the Soviet Union or North Korea or Mao's China.
I think socialism in general, what gives it power, it's gonna sound maybe a cliche, but I think it's a lot of things like envy.
Yes, yeah.
Tapping into that very human, very ingrained, sentiment, and using that, weaponizing that in a political way.
Yeah.
And that makes people maybe think irrationally, or have people believe a narrative that is a lie.
Right.
It's a lie.
I know.
About the tax discussion, I think it's a very nuanced discussion. I mean, it's very hard to Jeff Bezos will say that, but then you can pick and choose statistics the way you want it to feed your narrative.
Yeah, for sure. You could also say that these people are employing everyone.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of nuance, and you can argue for and against. So it's the problem that I see, and this is my own perspective of here in the U.S. There isn't a real. Maybe it's nature of politics or whatnot, but there isn't a real nuanced discussion around those things,
Yeah, for sure. It's very black and white.
It's very black and white.
Yeah.
It's very
tax the rich, communism is evil. Yeah.
And it loses, it flattens the discussion, and it makes it futile. Because you cannot. There's no middle ground. There's no way to agree on things.
Yeah.
Or at least not publicly. Maybe in a closed door setting, you can get to agreements, and I guess that's what ends up happening. But from the political discourse standpoint and how people position themselves and their beliefs, I don't think it's really that helpful. It basically shuts down your analytical thinking of the people, and just think either you are with me or against me, and that's not helpful in a democracy.
Yeah. No, it's extremely difficult, and I'm glad that I grew up in Ireland, which is, I think, most of our politicians, even they don't, well, they wouldn't identify themselves this way, but if they were here in the US issuing the same policies, they'd probably be described as democratic socialists, because we have a lot of our resources are allocated socially.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's social welfare, social housing. It's very, and people will also immediately look to the government. People are very pro big government in ways that they, you know, it would be very frowned upon here. How do you balance allocating resources socially versus, you know, allocating them by the free market? And it's extremely difficult. You know, it's not an easy. I don't think there is a right answer, but what's your take on it? I guess.
Look, This is what I think. I think there are trade-offs to any particular system, right? And there's no perfect system that has all the positive outcomes and none of the negative ones. Right? So if you take Europe's approach, for example, where you have a bigger state that takes care of a lot of like takes care of the population and like healthcare, free healthcare. Well, not free, publicly subsidized or publicly funded healthcare, and several things like that. You need to recoup like those funds from somewhere. So you need to have probably higher taxes, and that means that you would need to put a higher tax burden on society and on businesses, which in the end leaves businesses with less resources to reinvest in the business, stifles innovation, stifles economic growth. And again, this is a very like linear thought process. There are a lot of nuances around that.
For sure,
But in the end, I think that's kind of the result, right? Europe grows a lot more slowly than the U.S. economically.
For sure,
You have exceptions. Ireland would be one. Like Poland is growing like crazy. But you have a lot of exceptions around that, of course. But then you have. But the positive outcome of that is that you have this safety net, where people, if you arrive to unfortunate circumstances, you're not going to be, living on the streets. Right. Which is
a harsh
unfortunately,
reality.
it's the reality of the U.S. You have the richest country in the world. Where we are right now, the richest city in the world. And you have homeless everywhere.
I know, it's crazy. It really is.
And it's like, for me, like, it pains me to see, walking down the street on a sidewalk and watching someone in the middle of winter sleeping in a cardboard,
I know.
bed, and and it's like, why? Well, because this system doesn't give you a safety net, or the safety net is a lot less. I would say less expansive, less accessible. So it doesn't cover everyone. But you have on the other end of things, you have very dynamic economy. Like most of the major new technologies that are developed in the world are developed here in the U.S. And you have very high growth economy if you compare it to developed economies. So again, it's.
It is extremely difficult.
It's
and
very difficult.
I'm glad that I got to see both systems as well, because I've seen salaries are so much higher here and taxes are lower, which is brilliant. And when you're healthy and you can work, the system makes a lot of sense for you. But like you said, like, it is one of the, like, there are certain qualities which make me not like living in New York, for example. Maybe the rest of the US is a bit different, but for sure one of them is the homelessness issue. It's unfortunate because I see so many ways the city could be better, and yet it's not going to happen because of we live in a capitalist, a capitalist city, which
very, very capitalist.
Yeah, yeah. The homelessness thing is a huge thing as well for me. Like it was one of the first things I noticed when I came here, and also something I noticed was how different the homeless people here are versus the homeless people in Europe. So a lot of the homeless people I would have encountered at home, they have issues with substance abuse, but a lot of them you could sit down and have a conversation with them if you wanted to. But here, a lot of them are severely mentally ill and incapable of taking care of themselves, you know.
Yeah.
Even if you gave them, they might also have substance abuse issues, but even if that wasn't a factor at play, they are not taking care of themselves, you know. And those people in Ireland and other countries, they're in the care of the state. That's why you don't see them on the street, you know. And it's something for sure that I don't like about living here. I like lots of things, but it's a difficult thing to overlook, you know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for me, it's shocking.
Yeah.
And I think when people are visiting, like it has happened to me, like you have family visiting, and that's kind of insane, right? Because you don't see that everywhere.
Yeah.
And especially here, like you expect, if you're in the richest city in the world, it's like, why the city is not taking care of its people, you know?
I know, yeah.
If it has so much money.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not part of the system, you know?
Yeah. We're posing all the questions, but not getting any of the answers.
Those are, yeah. And again, it's a very, and again, all things.
Yeah.
I have a very good friend who is very like politically like very active and has very strong opinions.
Yeah.
But a lot of these issues, and when I discuss with him, he's very like very strict like on his views.
Yeah.
He's very like right-leaning person. But I do think that a lot of things. And I think that's missing in a lot of the discussions here. There's not a lot of nuance. Like there's not people make or create opinions or build their own, like in their minds, create their own opinions with very limited information.
Yeah, based on emotion, maybe.
Based on emotion, or based on on maybe a passing comment that you saw in on Instagram or you know.
Yeah, or personal lived experience.
Or personal lived experience.
Yeah.
And things are very complex.
Yeah.
And everything has a trade-off. And in the end, it's the system each society chooses to live in. I guess it's a reflection of the values of that society. But I think the problems start when those things become non-sustainable in time.
Yeah. For sure.
And one thing that, you know, in Europe, for example, that I see that might be getting to that point in some countries is that it's not sustainable to keep the welfare state at the current economic output of the countries, you know.
It's very controversial at home, and it's a topic that comes up in every election, you know.
Yeah. And here in the U.S., it's also in a way it's not sustainable to have a society where you have a very rich top 1% or top 0.1% of the country, and then you have the bottom 50% having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to put food on the table.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's not. And this is my own view, and this is probably with my own biases, you know. But I don't think that's sustainable either. You need to find some middle ground where society as a whole needs to feel that it's just and it's fair.
Yeah.
And if you lose that sense of fairness, you start having a lot of problems.
Yeah.
In society, and I think here in the U.S., I think there's some of that happening. That from my point of view.
I think that's a good closing point. Thanks a lot for
Thank you, Jack.
being a guest.
Thank you for having me.
Arnaldo. Good conversation.
Yeah, likewise.
Oh.